What is in a book? In the case of children's anthologies and book treasuries, a lot. Many things are in a book. And obviously I can't hold the book right. Hi, I'm Sarah of My Home, Your Home, Our Home, and in today's video I'm sharing with you our favorite children's anthologies of picture books and other books, as well as some tips for you to help you as you consider anthologies and select them for your own family. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. I'd love to have you join our community here. I make videos every week about our bilingual multicultural family, our life overseas, and our homeschool. Today I'm sharing with you our top picks of books that we love as a family. We use these books with our preschool boys, so a lot of them are able to be read right now, but some of them will be read in the future. But I just grew up with some of these books as well, and so I know that they're valuable literature. I have a few thoughts I want to share with you at the beginning here of what I consider when I look at a children's collection book. There are a few things that I realized when I bought some books in the past, and I made some mistakes. So the first thing that I look for is I want the book to actually include the full books. So I'm not looking for just a chapter here and there of books. The 20th century children's literature book, I'll include the exact title somewhere here, is a book that disappointed me in the past. I had high expectations for that book. I do like parts of it, but what I realized when I had that book before was that it had some parts that were just chapters of longer books, such as from Henry Huggins or things like that, where I actually want full books in an anthology. If that doesn't bother you, no worries, but that was just something that I wish I would have looked for before, and now that I look for that in books that I select. Another thing is I want books that have all of the illustrations in the original books. To illustrate the powerful difference between a book that has all of the original illustrations and a book that doesn't, take a look at these two little golden book. I did it again. Take a look at these two little golden book treasuries. This one is the first one I ever got, and it has 46 in this little tiny book. What are they going to cut out? Not the words, they're going to cut out the pictures. So for the book, The New House in the Forest, how many pictures do you actually have from the book? 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was a little children's book. I'm sure it had more than that in the beginning. Oh, it has another page as well. Okay. But when I look at these selections in here, I know from the original Little Golden Books that there were more pictures in the original, and they're fitting most of the text on the page. If you want just the text of these and your kids are okay with that, that's no problem. But for me, with my boys' ages, this was not going to hold their attention like I know the Little Golden Books can. So we picked up this copy of a big collection of Little Golden Books, and I got it because I saw in reviews that it has all of the original illustrations in the exact same layout as the original book. So if you're looking at a book that has heavy reliance on diagrams and illustrations and maybe says, look to the right here, look to the left here, you're going to want the original layout as well as all of the original illustrations from the book. Lesson learned. The third thing that I look for is that it is completely in color, if it was originally printed in color. This is the Calvin and Hobbes, one of their treasuries, and because it was in newspapers, some of the pages are in color, including the entire first selection of comic strips, and then other ones suddenly switch to black and white. Now I know my boys are not at the age yet to really appreciate Calvin and Hobbes so much. The humor is a bit over their heads, but for me as an adult, if there was any color to it, I would like to see color in it. Now this is appropriate for this kind of book, printed in a newspaper originally, but for other books with our boys, if they weren't originally printed in black and white, I don't want them in black and white. I want all of the full originalness of the book. That's just me. Those are three things that I look for. I want to not miss out on anything just because I have a huge book of everything. So let me launch into our favorite books. I have most of them here with me, but I'll start with some that I don't have with me. The first one is Frog and Toad. If you've read Frog and Toad with a child who's just beginning to read or is on the verge of reading or has begun by themselves, then it's a delight. You know the beautiful friendship between Frog and Toad and the simplicity of the stories, but the wonderful marvelousness of them. So that is one of our top picks. Another book is this one that I've already showed you, a big collection of Little Golden Books, because it has 10 golden book titles, some of the most popular ones, all in one volume with all of the original illustrations and everything. Things like the Pokey Little Puppy, Scuffy the Tugboat. One thing I do wish it had to be more complete in my mind is the Tawny Scrawny Lion. Another book of classics, this is Mike Mulligan and More. It is all of the books by Virginia Lee Burton in all of their original layout and form and all their beauty. If you're looking for a book that has gorgeous illustrations, look no further than Jan Brett. She never disappoints. This is her Snowy Treasury, and it is complete with all of the original illustrations from the stories, as well as in the gingerbread baby, the lift the flap portion at the end where you lift the flap of the house. And I'm so glad that it does not leave that little detail out. It is a really special part of that book. And these books are beautifully written and also beautifully illustrated. I could just feast on Jan Brett and Patricia Polacco forever. These books are great. Other great selections for the ages around my boys' ages of toddler to approximately 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade is the Big Book of Berenstain Bears, and there are multiple of these out there. We do have 2 of them, and I recommend both of them. The Storybook Treasury as well, and there are probably more than this, but these are the 2 that we have that we really like. So if your kids like Berenstain Bears, or if you haven't been exposed to them yet, then check those out. The other one is The Little Critter, just a storybook collection, and it has several different books within here. My son loves Little Critter. He just recently discovered him, and that's not bad by me. He has some great lessons in his books, especially for this age where they're learning about tantrums and controlling their anger and all of that good stuff. Can't leave out Clifford. Clifford, the big red dog. My sons are not quite into Clifford yet, but I think they will be. And so we have Clifford's collection, the original 6 stories. So what better place to start? And then we have this one, also Clifford's Classics. And none of these anthologies that I'm showing you today are extremely expensive. In fact, you can probably get them from Better World Books or eBay with really cheap prices, even maybe combined with discounts for a cheaper price, but they're not expensive at all. They've all been around for a while, so they're not going to be up there in price. The Complete Adventures of Curious George. Now, Curious George and the Berenstain Bears are kind of longer books with quite a few more words on pages sometimes than my sons will sit through, but they're great for read-alouds right now, and eventually they'll sit through them or maybe even read them themselves. But Curious George is a mischievous monkey that you will definitely see reflections of if you have mischievous children. This book right here is a hefty one, but it is well worth all of the weight. It comes with a multitude of picture book classics in, like I've mentioned before, all of their original form. So you're not going to skip out on any of the content, any of the illustrations. There's Harold and the Purple Crayon. Caps for Sale is one of my son's new favorite books because who doesn't like seeing monkeys throw down hats from a tree? And Goodnight Moon has been a classic in our house for a long time. We've also discovered a few new books in here that we didn't know about before. This book we were introduced to through Sunlight's preschool curriculum program. If you haven't watched my video of unboxing that, or my videos that are coming out soon about our first week with Sunlight curriculum and other Sunlight vlogs, then check those out, linked in the description box below here on my channel. Mouse Cookies and More. This book has been read so much in the past 2 weeks in our house. I think my son might have the stories almost memorized. At least he knows all the characters from the stories and can probably point them out anywhere if they're on anything. This one includes 4 complete tales. These are not all of the stories. I've seen some now about if you give a mouse a brownie or things like that, but it goes with if you give a mouse a cookie, if you take a mouse to school, if you give a pig a pancake, and if you give a moose a muffin. And these are books that we're using along with the gentle and classical curriculum that we're using with our homeschool preschool this year. They go along really well with the letters of the weeks. So cookies, and moose muffins. These are great letter stories, but they're also great funny stories, and especially about cause and effect. Now, a few last ones. This is not exactly an anthology. I guess, although I think it does include some of Richard Scarry's other books within it, but it is Richard Scarry's best storybook ever. If your child has not discovered Richard Scarry yet, I hope that they love him as much as my son does. We have Richard Scarry's Cars and Trucks and Things That Go, this book of Richard Scarry, as well as another Richard Scarry book of Mother Goose rhymes, and my boys will sit and ask several times a day to read these gigantic books all the way through, and they will sit through the entire thing. So Richard Scarry is a favorite of ours. This book has a lot of great selections of his from other books. I don't know that they are complete. This is one exception that I make for this book. I don't exactly care if it's the complete story. It's just a selection of a lot of his great tales, but it's a good text to picture ratio. The stories are diverse. So we have some vocabulary tales, we have some alphabet ones, we have some just cuddly cozy stories, some travel type ones about London and numbers and colors, and so it's a good selection of stories. My final one is the Max Lucado Children's Treasury. I wish that this included more. It could include I Am Special by Max Lucado or other books like that, but it includes several that I grew up with, including The Crippled Lamb and some that I was not familiar with. There is a story about Jacob's gift and him making the manger for baby Jesus, as well as this book, If You Ever Wonder. So these are just really good stories for the parent-child bond. I feel like Max Lucado captures that really well in his stories, and just the protective, nurturing nature of parenthood and how that's supposed to be. And so this includes all of the original illustrations, stories. It's not a super thick volume. It is rather tall, but it's not heavy. So this is one of, it comes with a ribbon as well. This is one that my boys are growing into because they don't sit through a lot of stories that are rather long yet, but I'm hoping to break this out at Christmas time this year and read The Crippled Lamb and Jacob's Gift, and hopefully they'll start grasping these stories and loving the illustrations, at least, and listening maybe in the background. These are our family's favorite anthologies, children's book treasuries. What are yours? I love expanding our bookshelf. Our family loves literature. If you do too, share your favorite book anthologies in the comments below. I hope that you enjoy these books in your family just as much as we do in ours. Thanks so much for joining me today. And why not check out some other videos about homeschooling books right here in the playlist and video. I will see you guys next time. Love you. Ciao.